Welcome back to Anoraker, and I've got a new show for you, specifically Framework news. If you're not familiar with Framework, they make one of the most repairable laptops you can buy. You can basically take the thing apart with one single screwdriver that they even include in the box. It's a great little device that I wish I have spent more time with. Every time I've played with one, I've kind of fallen in love and wanted to buy one. This was their big day where they said they were having a Framework Gen 2 announcement, and I'm gonna be honest, I started out disappointed and left completely shocked and amazed. The start of the event was just them announcing the Framework 13 latest edition. And it's kind of weird. I'm both happy and bored, and happy to be bored, because when you look at the new Framework 13, it's basically exactly the same on the outside. You really can't tell the difference between the old framework and the new, unless you buy a pre-built, completely put together Windows version of you, because that's been updated with Microsoft's required Copilot keyboard. And if you don't like those, don't buy the pre-built one, save some money, build it yourself, and you can get the DIY keyboard that does not have the Copilot keyboard. You don't even have to get a Windows key now. If you preferred Linux, that's actually kind of a great thing. But beyond some updated artwork and the keys, there's no real big difference in the Framework 13. The internals are updated. They're on the latest AMD processors now, which makes them faster, more powerful, longer battery life. And USB 4, able to handle 4 displays. Your usual spec update that kind of is a bit of a snooze fest and sad. But that's actually a good thing, because again, the outside is the same, which means if you already own a Framework 13, you could buy the new mainboard, the new USB-C ports, and put them in and upgrade your system without having to buy a whole brand new laptop, which is frankly amazing for a laptop, but on paper, kind of boring. And the Framework 16, kind of equally a little bit boring. There was nothing new for the Framework 16 other than a tease of a one-key keyboard key you can use to build your own keyboard the way you want, make it ortholinear. He suggested perhaps ergonomic, or they suggested ergonomic, but they didn't show how that would work. Maybe a side thing. There wasn't much info, and it's not coming anytime soon. You can pre-order the new you can pre-order the new Framework laptop today for the 13 series, but that's it. Or at least I thought that was it, and I was kind of like, why is this a second gen version when we're not going to have anything more than this? And they kind of blew my mind, because the very next thing that Framework announced is a Framework desktop. That's right, a Framework desktop. And they immediately addressed the question that first hit me of what desktops are already kind of the most repairable computer you can ask for. You can take these things apart, replace every piece until nothing is left, and you've got the old question of, is this even the same computer anymore when you've swapped out every single part, including the case? And yeah, that's true. This thing, however, runs on AMD's new upcoming incredibly super powerful processors. And that comes with a downside. It almost breaks my heart, because the first thing that Framework's CEO had to admit to was that this processor cannot be upgraded when it comes to its RAM, be upgraded when it comes to its memory and storage. It is an all-in-one unit. And that seems to go against the Framework ethos of being able to do this all yourself, but it's not entirely their fault. They simply can't make AMD make the processor another way. And they tried for months, apparently, and tried to figure out a way to make it happen so you could do your own storage, but it just wasn't possible. But this desktop, nonetheless, is very customizable, very powerful, and shockingly affordable. They compared it to the Mac Studio. The 128 gig Mac Studio is almost $5,000. And a lot of that is just from upgrading storage, because Apple pricing on storage is pretty terrible. Framework decided to go the extreme opposite. Since you cannot upgrade your storage on your own, since you cannot change out the memory on your own, they decided not to gouge prices here. The same 128 gig model Framework desktop will go for just $2,000. And like other Framework devices, this is an incredibly customizable piece of kit. You can get your own case. You can decide what ports are included in this. You can provide your own fan. Now, Framework has got a lot of this already in place for you. This little desktop case right here is kind of fun because if you can see those colors on the front, that is customizable. You can swap out these tiles for all black, different colors, 3D print your own, and there's more coming soon. And you can almost see it at the bottom. There are some USB-C ports featured on this picture. They look like the same kind of ports that the laptops currently use. So you could swap them out from your laptop or decide what you want in there. Maybe you need an SD card. Maybe you need USB-C up front. Maybe you need USB-A up front. You can change that out. The same goes for the stuff on back. This has a main board, much like the laptops do, that has a lot of the stuff already built in for you to make install as easy as possible. They promised that this would be the easiest desktop you'll ever build. And I guess that would be true automatically because one of the most difficult, tedious, scary parts is installing the processor and getting your heat paste just correctly and making everything line up and not bending anything and so forth. And once you've done it a few times, it's pretty easy, but it's still a tiny bit nerve-wracking because if you mess that part up, you're really out of luck. You won't have to do that on this, but you can choose your other options as well. And it's a really interesting idea. And it's not that expensive, all things considered. They said the starting price would be around $1,000, $1,100 if I remember correctly, for the lower amounts of memory storage. And then all the way up to $2,000 for that maxed out unit. Or you could even just buy a bunch of main boards and hook them all together in a rack and make your own AI computer server, which, I mean, that's a thing, I guess, if you want to do that. I don't know. I still think it's pretty neat. And they're still promising that you'll be able to take this apart and put it back together with a single screwdriver. Although it will be a different screwdriver than what they include with the laptop. So they'll be including a new screwdriver with these desktops. Pre-orders for that are open right now. If you can get the website to work. I wasn't able to get it when I last looked. It was just not wanting to load. Let's check it out real quick, see if it's better in place. Ooh, I did manage to get it to load. Let's check it out. So yeah, the website has been just getting murdered by everything going on because everyone's kind of super excited. But here is the desktop. Like I said, you can customize this yourself. These tiles are already different. It's fairly small, but they're promising it's a AI computer as well. And you can configure it starting at the 32 gigabyte model. That's an 8-core, 16-thread CPU, 32 graphics core, and 32 gigs of non-upgradable RAM. For $1,100. But then you can start pushing it up from there. 64 gigs for $1,599 and 128 gig model for $1,999. The storage is upgradable. I said storage a couple times. That was wrong. I meant to say just the RAM. And you can provide your own storage, of course, which is probably what I would do because I've got plenty on hand. They have several CPU fans that were custom built for this, including a Noctua that was completely custom built for this. And of course, power cables, you can provide your own and so forth. This looks pretty fantastic. And I am honestly shocked by the concept altogether. Just that you can do all this. And, you know, one thing I forgot to mention, we will go back just for a second to the new Framework 13. They actually announced a couple of new features that you also saw in here. The bezel can now come in some transparent options and then transparent color options. And therefore, they also decided to add the ports that you can customize can also now come in transparent options. And you're kind of seeing some of that here as well. So this is honestly just a shocking little, pretty cool combination Yeah, see, new colors available, which ones do you want, and so forth. If I had to put my money down on what were they going to announce today, here's some of that transparent module. I don't think I would have said, yeah, they'll definitely sell a desktop. It just wasn't on my bingo card, as it were. But they weren't even done yet because they had to have a Steve Jobs and one more thing. And this was already a one more thing as it was, but they decided to pull out even one more thing. Today, Framework announced, we already have the Framework 13, the Framework 16, and the Framework Now Desktop. They announced the Framework 12. Yeah, that's right, a smaller, just slightly smaller Framework laptop. But it's a little bit different. They are promising that this will be a more affordable, entry-level possible laptop that has a touchscreen and is a 2-in-1 convertible laptop. This is great for, say, your children. This is great for your budget laptop. This is great for when you just need to give something to someone or where you just need to not spend a lot of money, but you need something that's good enough. It runs on Intel processors, not AMD. Sorry, AMD fans. And the folks at Framework are promising this is the most repairable laptop ever from Framework, which is just actually kind of shocking to hear because, again, this is a 2-in-1 convertible. I would think that hinge would make things a little bit more difficult. This is also a touchscreen. I would think the touchscreen would make things a little more difficult. And as you'll notice, it actually comes in several colorways as well. There's a bubble gum and a green, black, and so forth. But despite the fact that it is an entry level, and they sort of started presenting it as perfect for your kid, they did say that actually you can spec bump this thing all the way up and make it pretty powerful. The CEO actually said this is going to be his new everyday laptop, and starting right after the presentation. What they did not say, unfortunately, is the price of the Framework 12. We don't know how affordable it's going to be. Previously, Framework did experiment with a Chromebook laptop that ran about $1,000 as a starting price. I don't know if this will be less. This still runs on the Intel 13 processors, so it's still fairly powerful even at that lower spec level that they're going to offer, but I don't know what it's going to cost. You also cannot pre-order today. You're going to start pre-orders for that in April, and that I assume is when they're going to announce the price as well. But think about it. We have all kinds of new options from this ultra repairable company, and I really recommend it for most people. I know I've got a Mac here right now, and yeah, okay, it's not the most repairable thing out there. That's specific to my needs so that I can do video editing on the go, and very few devices are as good at that without like an M4 processor like this has. Same as my Mac Studio. But I still love my Windows desktop, which is currently not working and I need to fix it. I still have Windows laptops in my home. My son is currently on a Razer laptop. I gave him that after I picked this up. But I can't repair his Razer laptop as easily. Right now it has a problem where the battery cannot hold a charge, and I'm not looking forward to trying to take the thing apart. I've done that before, but on Ultrabooks like this, it's not really all that easy to do. A Framework laptop sounds perfect. It's something that I could give to my son and upgrade for years to come. Because, as we saw with the Framework 13 today, as they release more main boards, they've done a really good job of keeping the externals basically the same so that you can just take out your old main board, put in the new one, and the old one's still good for other stuff. I have some plans for some Framework concepts coming up in the video, so definitely subscribe if you're watching this long. It's gonna be pretty awesome if I can pull it off, and I'm actually not sure. It's one of my most ambitious projects to date, and I'm just waiting for some of the parts to arrive. But let me know, would you like to see a Framework desktop torn apart? Would you like to see the latest Framework laptop torn apart? Would you even like to see that Framework convertible torn apart? I kind of do. I think it's actually kind of really impressive that they figured out a way to make this happen and keep to that ethos of it's your device. You should be able to take it apart, fix it, repair it, and keep it going. No one else is this good at this point, and it's really exciting to see. And maybe someday Apple could take a note from Framework and start doing something like it. What? Who am I kidding? That's never going to happen. But that is it for today. I still am just in shock that Framework announced a new desktop. That's just not one I saw. The 2-in-1 convertible is kind of surprising, but I can see it. It's still another form of a laptop, but a desktop? What do you think? Were you expecting that? Would you buy a Framework desktop, or would you buy even just the internals and build your own desktop from a Framework main board meant to be an all-powerful desktop but no upgradable RAM? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and bye.